Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Tea Time with TI. I know it's been a while since we've had our last one, but we're excited to bring it back. I'm Maddie. I'm here with Caitlin, who is in charge of our YACs. And our Tea Time with TI today, we're going to be enjoying our tea, our cozy vibes, especially with all this snow, and chatting with you about YACs and the YAC applications since they are due this week. Caitlin, can you tell us a little bit more about applications when they're due, what they look like?
Absolutely. So, YAC applications have been open since about the beginning of December. So, I know many of you have gotten all of that filled out and sent in. So, thank you so much. For the rest of you, applications are due at 11:59 p.m. this Friday, January 30th. So you've got plenty of time to get those in the next couple of days. Maybe you're filling it out right now because you've had a delayed opening. Maybe your school's closed, but you've got plenty of time to get that all in and ready for our summer leadership conference.
Amazing. And they can edit it up until January 30th as well, correct?
Absolutely. You can always go back in and edit. It is not like resubmitting the application or anything. It will just be, you can make all the edits that you need, submit any of the forms that you need, any of that can all be done up until that time.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing all these applications. And with the applications, there's also a couple steps that I would love you to walk us through if you can,
Yeah.
and tell us, who should be applying and how they can do so.
Here you can see our 2026 YAC application. On the first page, you're going to just see some expectations for our Youth Advisory Council. So, of course, first and foremost, that is things like remaining alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, and other drug free. We're promoting diversity and everything that we, are so passionate about at camp, promoting those natural highs and a drug-free lifestyle, being a positive role model, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, what that specifically means when we are at camp. And then, of course, you're assisting in your action group and your process group, and you're doing all of those things that you would typically do as a participant. So just make sure that you read this front page nice and thoroughly so you have a good overview of what you're signing up for. And then this is going to apply to teens who have been to either our summer leadership conference, Power of One, or our fall leadership conference. And those are students who are either currently in ninth, 10th, or 11th grade. If you are in 12th grade currently and you're going to be graduating in the summer, congratulations. That doesn't mean you have to leave us. Look out for those CATS applications for our college age TI staff, and that will be coming out shortly. And Maddie will be able to tell you a little bit more about that when the time comes.
Absolutely. Yeah, so just to reiterate that, if they've been to any of our conferences in the past and they are still going to be in high school next year, they can apply.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yep. Yep. We'd be more than thrilled to have all of you. And then on our second page here, something that we need to do with our yaks is hold trainings. We need to tell you, what is expected of you, and then help you to build those skills, right? So those trainings are going to start in April. They are on Saturdays once a month from April to August, with the exclusion of an overnight training in July, which is a ton of fun, and we've got a lot of really great ideas for you this year. So those trainings are April 11th, May 16th. June 27th. The overnight is July 17th into July 18th. That's a Friday evening into a Saturday. And then Saturday, August 8th. And those are all from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our Lindsay Meyer Teen Institute office in Secaucus.
And also on top of that, all of our GACs, our cats, our volunteers who can join us all come out on, and it is required for yaks and cats. The volunteers part is optional. Required to come out on Sunday,
Mm.
the day before camp starts, for the last bit of training all together in the Camp Mason space and really getting that last bit of everything in there.
Yep. Get all those jitters out, get all of the excitement going because That is when everything is going to start.
Hmm.
Another thing that we want to point out is, we want to know which conference you've attended in the past, just to give us an idea of your level of experience with LMTI. If you were a YAC last year, because YACs from previous years do have to reapply and re-interview and all of that. And then which conferences you'll be able to attend. So one of those summer conferences absolutely should be checked off. And then also optional, our fall wellness retreat if you are able to attend that in the beginning of November of 2026. Sounds like it's a really far long away, but it really, really isn't when we start getting in the spirit of camp planning.
Comes faster than you'd think.
And then of course we just have some personal information. We'd like to know, who you are, how old you are, what your your action group or your school. All right. And so now we have our essay questions. These are just so we can get to know you, so we can kind of see, what you've learned from camp or what you've learned in school or your own personal philosophies, and just, get a nice little vibe going for, who you are as a person. It also gives us some, questions to ask you in our interview, right? We want to make sure that we know who you are when you come into that Zoom meeting and step in for that interview. And then there are a couple of questions for YACs of previous years, so make sure that you're looking out for that. It might not be marked as a required question just because not everybody's going to have to answer those. But if you are a YAC from previous years, make sure that you're looking at those two on the bottom here.
Mhm.
And those are the biggest parts of the application. Um, there is a section for your parent, guardian, adult at home to fill out and to sign off on, just because we want to make sure that they know that you're applying for this, because it is a rather big commitment. And then I am going to show you a little bit of where you can find this application, and how that all works on our website. So here is the LMTI website. So if you are on our homepage, this is what you would see when you typed in the njlmti.org URL. And you're going to go to volunteers and alumni here at the top, go down to YAC Applications. We've got a great little countdown up here. So we have 4 days, 7 hours, and 16 minutes until these applications are due. So plenty of time. Have a little bit of information about, what's on sort of that first page of the application, expectations and things that we expect. The training dates are also listed there, so you can go and find those at any time that you may need, even after you're done with the application. And then we have our steps. So first, we want you to fill out that online application, and there's a link, this button right here. Then there is a recommendation form. You're going to click that link and you're going to send that to an adult that can fill that out for you. It can be your advisor or teacher from school, someone that you work with, in a mentorship capacity. It just cannot be a family member. And then also part of the application is a chance to pick your interview, and that will be on one of the last pages of the jot form. You can choose a time slot in Monday, February 2nd, Thursday, February 5th, Saturday, February 7th, Monday, February 9th, or Wednesday, February 11th. And if none of those times work for you, please reach out to me and we can make something work. Those just might be the ones that we've selected for official interview times, but that doesn't mean that that's the only time that we can talk to you. So please, please don't hesitate to reach out if you need some sort of accommodation.
Absolutely. Sorry if you heard that noise on my end, by the way. That was just some dogs running around, knocking something over. But on that note of the interview, we just want to emphasize too that we know this is a lot of people's first interview. Don't be nervous. It's super simple, super easy. It is
Mhm.
either one of the LMTI staff members or one of our coworkers at Partners in Prevention or one of our amazing LMTI volunteers. So all very kind people, ready to walk you through that interview and just be yourself in that interview. That's the most important part. We know that it's a lot of people's first interview. You don't need to be totally, fully prepared to be telling every single detail about yourself. It's just kind of to get an idea of some of the same things that you answer in essay form. We just talk about it so we can hear your perspective naturally, and a little bit more than you might be able to just type. We like to get that verbal aspect, that communication as well, because that's a big part about being a yak is that in-person conversation part. So that's why the interview is important. Um, as long as you are being yourself and you are answering honestly, though, then you are good to go. You don't need to be nervous for that. We know a lot of people say that that's the part they are most nervous for because they've never interviewed, but it is really low stakes, and just for us to get to know who you are, because a lot of people apply to BX and sometimes we can't choose every single person who applies, so it helps us to get to know you, get to hear those explanations, so that maybe we can recommend one more year as a participant, if we have too many, or maybe you can apply in the future as a CATS or anything like that. It's just another step of making our final decision process, and no need to be nervous. That being said, also, I know a question that comes up occasionally is if you're not a YAC, can you still come to camp? The answer is yes, right? You are still more than welcome to come as a participant if you are not a YAC. Like Caitlin said earlier, if you are aged out, you're graduating this year, you can apply to be a CATS as long as you have been through the program before. If you are graduating this year and have never been through the program, you do have to wait a year to apply to be a CATS. But if you are just looking to come back to camp in a leadership capacity, CATS role is open, other roles are open. There are ways to stay involved.
I only have one additional thing about the
Yes.
interviews. Those will be held on Zoom, and you will receive a Zoom link probably the day before your interview that you can log into at the appropriate time with all the instructions. So don't worry about, accessing all of that. We've got that covered for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a great point. All right, let's jump into those trainings. So we said we have trainings once a month up until camp and then also the day before camp. What can they expect at those trainings?
Oh man, our trainings are truly so much fun. So you'll be there with myself and maybe some other LMTI staff. And then we have our fantastic YAC coordinators that are going to be with us at all of those. And that'll be a super fun time. And we talk about a lot of different topics. We talk about those leadership skills and, how to practice and build all of that, right? Because as you've heard us say a lot of times, people are not necessarily born leaders, right? These are things that you have to practice and you have to, make sure that you're learning all of those different things. Aside from that, we also talk about some prevention strategies, right? Because LMTI really is a prevention program, and we talk a lot about natural highs. And another way that we practice that is learning games, right? YACs are going to be, responsible for running some games, especially in process groups. So we teach you how to facilitate the games that you all know and love. It's different between, participating and then actually putting those things into practice. And then, of course, we have our cheer time. You learn all of the different cheers that you may need, all of the different things that go along with that, how we signal for, what kind of cheer we need when. And it's just a super fun time that we can all get to know one another and, bond and then, learn a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah. There's also food at almost every training that we
Mm-hmm.
provide. So there's time to, eat and really get to meet the other yaks, and at when they join the other cats, because there are some combined trainings where yaks and cats get
Absolutely.
to work together. So a lot of learning those leadership skills that you can apply everywhere, a lot of learning the specific things about camp, and a lot of getting to know other leaders that are your age from around New Jersey, eat some pizza with them, hang
Mm-hmm.
out, really have a fun time. I love our trainings. I think even when I was a yak, I always looked forward to them. It's like a little taste of camp all the way
Mm-hmm.
leading up to camp. It's so fun, such a good time. And you learn so much. So always
Yeah.
appreciated those.
It's a great way to get back into the mindset and get excited and, kind of reignite that fire that you experienced at camp and get that going so we can ramp up for the next year.
hmm And on the topic of trainings, we said that we tell them all of the things they'll need to know, all of their responsibilities, all of the things that their role entails. Let's talk a little bit about what a conference looks like as a YAC and what that role might be while they're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody who's applying to be a YAC has gone through camp in some capacity, whether that was our summer leadership conference and you were there for 5 days, or if it was Power of One and you were there for the 3 days, or our fall leadership conference where you were there for 3 or 4 days. We've all had those experiences and we've all gone through that. As a YAC, you're going to experience camp a little bit differently, right? You're not coming as a participant who, maybe is experiencing all this for the first time. You're stepping into a role as a student leader. And while you may be doing a lot of the same things that the participants are, right? You're still going to action group, you still have process group, you still have free time, all of those different things, but you are going to have certain expectations on you. So you are expected to act as a role model for participants, right? We're really setting the tone for what that week is going to look like or what that conference is going to look like. You're going to be there as a buddy, right? For people who are there for the first time and have those, first time kind of jitters. Um, you're going to, be in cabins with other participants where, you're going to be responsible for making sure that people get out the door every morning. Of course, there's going to be an adult chaperone in there as well, but, it might be, a good idea for you to run some games or some getting to know you sort of activities the first night that you're there. You also are expected to take a little bit of a step back in a lot of capacities, right? You are not necessarily going to be encouraged to like volunteer for speakers if they need guest participants. Um, you're not going to be signing up for open mic. You are just going to be there in really what is like a junior counselor kind of capacity. And you are expected to, be that leader.
Yeah. I like to say to people oftentimes, think about, the yaks for you when you were a participant
Hmm.
and how they made you feel welcomed and how they encouraged you to step out of your shell in whatever way. You're being that for the next set of people, and passing that feeling onward. So you're doing all of those little things that make people feel included, and help them. And we give so many tips on ways to introduce yourself to people, ways to get out there and break the ice in groups, ways to encourage people to step forward and for you to be able to step back. We talk about all of it in depth. So it's great work when you're there and we prepare you for it well.
Absolutely.
All right. So before we close off, and give them the rest of their time to go fill out those applications, do you want to share a memory that you have of leading the yaks, either at a training or at camp, that stands out to you as a highlight at
Oh,
all?
absolutely. I think, this past year watching, we had so many yaks who were new to the program. And, in previous years, we had a lot of, veterans that were back, and that made things, a little bit easier. But this year we had a lot of new people who really, really stepped up to the plate. And, I just remember that first day. Um, and they did such a fantastic job of, bringing everyone in and making sure that everybody felt included and, assured everyone that they wanted them to be there and that they wanted to be their friend and wanted them to have the same experience that they did. And I just felt so proud of everybody. They really all took what they learned, to heart and, put that into reality and made it even better for the participants this year. So I'm super excited to work with our new cohort.
I love that. And I'll share two memories from when I was a yak of some of my favorite yak memories. Um, I was a yak for 2 years when I was in high school. And I remember both times the feeling from getting there on Sunday when it's all of us who are so excited to be there to bring it forward. And then Monday, the campers arrive and you have some nerves of, am I going to be able to help these people have the experience I had? But then by Friday, seeing so many people up dancing, talking to new friends, all of us wearing our matching shirts and really going up to anyone and being able to talk and uh, share experiences. It means a lot when you're a yak and you know that you got to be a direct part of it for so many people. And the other memory I'll share is my first yak year. I couldn't attend the first training because I was away. It was my school's spring break when we had it, and my family was away. And when I came back, I did all my homework to make up for it. That was my one missed training, and I was so nervous that missing the first one, I was never going to catch up and get to know the other yaks. But the second I stepped foot in there, all the yaks are always so welcoming and kind. They immediately all wanted to get to know me. They were like, "We didn't see you last time. What's your name? Tell us about yourself." And by the end of the training, it didn't feel at all like I hadn't been there for the first one because all of the yaks work so hard to make it an inclusive environment for the campers and for each other. And I think that's still true. And it's something I always love to see, is how much the yaks all get to know each other and support each other through the process. So those have always been highlight memories for me as a yak and ones that I like to see continue on with our yaks now. Yeah. All right. So that's all we have for you. So, Caitlin, let's cheers to the yaks who are applying, our applicants. Cheers. And we will let y'all get back to your applications. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email Caitlin.
Mhm.
Her email is on the website, but it is cbradley@pipnj.org. Feel free to reach out. Thank you guys. Have a good rest
Thank
of
you
your
all.
day.
Talk to you all soon.